Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. And this time, we're going to delve into where monsters dwell. Yes, where monsters dwell. Number 28 from 1974. Okay, for those who don't know, this title was a science fiction horror anthology title featuring primarily reprint monster stories from the 50s and early 60s, running from 1970 to 75 for a total of 38 issues. And they were a lot of fun. And they were companion titles. Had others that were just horror stuff, but had Where Monsters Dwell, Creatures on the Loose, and Monsters on the Prowl. And they were the ones that primarily dealt with the giant monsters, and then some other creepy stuff for in backup, whether they're other monsters or one time or another. And of course, and I loved these titles. I love this stuff. Love the giant monster stuff because I'm a big Godzilla fan and King Kong fan, and I like Fin Fang Foom and Craw. So you see right here, Fin Fang Foom and Craw from these titles. And one thing I liked is that they kind of, to some extent, rolled these old monster stories into the main Marvel superhero universe, so that many of those stories were supposedly took place in the same universe, and sometimes in parallel to it, and even involving some of the Marvel superhero characters. In this issue, we're going to take a look at, because hey, we're into October, spooky Halloween month. This fits with the theme, even though it's not as spooky or anything, but it still fits with the theme. This is Where Monsters Dwell. Here we have it was primarily usually Jack Kirby or Steve Ditko. Jack Kirby was my favorite for this stuff. It was Jack Kirby or Steve Ditko doing these monster stories, but with some occasional stuff by other artists. Now this is a Jack Kirby cover, but none of his stuff appears in here. This is Where Monsters Dwell. He walks, he kills, he's Droom, the living lizard. Well, I wouldn't think a dead lizard would be much of a threat. And nothing can stop him. Help! Save us! He's alive! Why wouldn't he be alive if he's moving? He's coming! It's Droom! And the lead story here is drawn by an early Don Heck, who I was talking about not too long ago. And it's some really nice draftsmanship here. I think it took more time and more to do a complete drawing on all these panels than he would later probably have time for, or the inclination for some of the later superhero stuff, because that fit. Because it was more illustrative and more in line with some of the higher quality art from the that was in the 1950s horror / monster type stories. Here we go. I saw Droom the living lizard. You can see it's quite clearly different from what we would see from Jack Kirby, but it's still But very nicely drawn. The perspective of the buildings, backgrounds, and all the figures. Very nicely done, and follows through the entire story. Here we're with a scientist. Doesn't matter what his name is. He's working on some kind of concoction to make fruits and vegetables grow larger to help feed the world. Because he is concerned about the population explosion. Boy, would he be really surprised about the population of today. Of course, not taking into account the fact that depending on how large you make them, make the fruits and vegetables too large, they become inedible because they become woody. But anyway, and here he is testing this stuff on a tomato, and in just a few seconds, the whole thing grows. It's about 4 or 5 times its original size. Okay, it's more than twice its original size. And now he puts his concoction and the tomato, that's his example, and puts it in a box, and he goes over to the university nearby to talk to his friend, not university, but museum. Saying, this is I was just looking at this a little bit ago, and of course, it's not focusing right. So this is a really nice panel. It's fairly small, but the drawing of course, the figures, the facade of the building and stuff come out looking really, really nice. And you see, there's this friend. He goes to show it, and then his museum creator friend here says, "Oh, what's that? This is something, an animal that was given to us. It's a lizard, and it's called Dromedia. Yeah, Dromedia rex. It's supposed to be the most vicious reptile, and this is a dwarf version of it, and it's completely fictitious, of course." I know, because I looked it up. And it looks like an iguana. And while they're talking about the stuff, the thing gets out of its box, and it gets into the formula. Oh, look out! And it gets into the growth formula, and it instantly starts growing and growing. But where everything else he tested, it grew about 2 or 3 times its normal size in just a short period of time. Here the thing doesn't stop growing, and it gets bigger and bigger, and pretty soon it's crashing right out of the building itself. That's a good shot right there. And they run and pretty soon it's terrorizing the whole city, and they got the police and the military and stuff there, and to no avail. And it keeps getting bigger and bigger. And for some odd reason, when it gets tremendously huge, it starts walking on 2 legs. I don't know why. Makes it more like Godzilla. But I don't know why it does. And people are running in terror, and it's even plucking the aircraft out of the air as it gets so tremendously huge. And of course, no real explanation where all that mass is coming from, because that's a lot of mass, and and all that mass the body would not be able to. But that's silly. It's just pure fun and silliness. So they come up with a concept. The scientist who was behind it all come up with a concept, a solution. And while the aircraft are buzzing around, keeping it distracted, got the soldiers down below, and they're strapping stuff to its feet. What is it? They're strapping a bunch of rockets, big old rockets. It wouldn't work that way, but anyway, to this monster's feet. And then when everyone gets out of the way, they're remotely lighted off, and it blasts him into space. And of course, that's not what would happen if you have a creature like that, or anything like that, and you strap a bunch of rockets to its feet and ankles and light them off. And what's it going to do? It's going to flip it over and push it around on the ground until the rockets burn out. It's not going to blast it up into the sky. But that doesn't matter. That's just nitpicking because this is fun. And there it shows him going into a state of suspended animation while it's in space, and it drifts until ages later comes to rest on another primordial Earth-like planet. And of course here it says, oh, but then a world which millions of years later would be known as Earth. That doesn't make any sense, really. But silly stuff. But that's okay. And there it is. That looks a lot like an image I've seen, both of them, really. A lot of them look a lot like Godzilla images. And that was a lot of fun. And then we have, this goes back even further. And I don't know who the artist is. This is from Marvel Tales number 125. That one, Droom, was from Astonishing Tales number 9. And I don't know who this artist is, but it has a very 50s look. It's very nicely done. Where monsters prowl. It's like from the title of this story, they derived two of their titles, like Where Monsters Dwell and Monsters on the Prowl. So, and here a couple is walking at night, and they find somebody soaking in a ditch. They call an ambulance. The guy's alive. Get the police and make all the report. Take him to the hospital. He's alive. He's surviving after time. And the reporters are there to try to take a story. So what happened? They don't know what happened to the guy. And he's telling the story how he was walking past the cemetery and he saw something, and it was a horrid betentacled critter, monster, and it zapped the streetlight and skittered away. You know, come on, this is crazy. Yeah, it's true, but it's true. And then he says how he followed it to an abandoned house. Inside, there was a whole bunch of them in there, and they were having meetings. Says, and they were meeting there, and he overhears them. Don't know, some reason they're speaking English, and we need to make contact with a certain journalist, and they're going to try to using him plant some kind of misinformation or what have you. But we can't get around too well in this forum, so we have to find a host. I need a human host, and there's one right there. And because they knew they were being observed the whole time, they zapped the guy, and they said the next thing he knows is when he's waking up here, and they said it's true, and where's where's your evidence, and who was the journalist you're supposed to see? And then no, I've warned you, and then plop, he's dead. And then we see, well, it's all a bunch of hooey, but I wonder who he was talking about. And then as we walk away, we see the tentacles. So he was the inhabited by one of the aliens. Then we have Tough Guy. I'm not going to go detail on that one. It's a really, really nicely drawn one. Tough Guy, bad guy goes to hell after his death, and the demons are trying to torture him. But he's so tough. Nothing bothers him. Nothing hurts him. He's fine. Is that all you got? Until finally, the head demon says, "I know what," and he forces him. This is what really gets him, when they force him to dress up in dandy's clothes like Little Lord Fauntleroy, and that is hell for him. Then we have The Little Monster, and this is from Mystery Tales number 15, and The Little Monster, and this is very nicely done by Jack Abel, drawn by Jack Abel, who I've talked about many times here before, and not too long ago on when I was talking about that Hot Rod comic, because he drew that. In the 60s, he did a lot of the Hot Rods, and before that, and at the same time, he was doing a lot of westerns. He used to be the regular artist on the Kid Colt Outlaw title. Well, here, this is going back even further, and this is a really nicely drawn. I really like I don't know if you can make the details out. I like the way that little, trying to get it to focus. There we go. The way that little monster, alien monster looks, it's kind of like a squiddy thing, but it's kind of cute. But his artwork here is very, very nicely done, and it looks a lot like Johnny Craig from the EC horror comics. Okay, here it is. This critter appears in this couple's home, and the wife says, "Kill it! It's horrible!" Grabs a gun and shoots it. No effect at all. Then it starts talking to him. Says, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm nothing like that. I just want to stay. I'm here for. I'm just a student. I'm here for to observe and make a report. I'll be here for just a while. I just want someplace to stay. And she offers to get him some food. I said, no, I take care of my own food. I've got that. Okay, so, but in return, I will give you all kinds of things. And he like almost magically gives him money and fancy clothes and so he gets a fancy car and all this other stuff, and said, "Okay, great, you're a great house guest. We love you," and keeps people from bothering him, because whenever anybody comes to the door, the little monster goes and takes care of it, and they're having a good old time just there. They never have to go out. And they got everything they want right there. Then after a short time, and you can see here the man is reading the newspaper. It says, "Flying saucers spotted over city suburbs," and finally the monster comes up, and he's starting to look a little vile there. And he says, "It's time for me to go home now. But I do want to thank you." So, "Oh, really? Do you? You're a great house guest. We love having you." So, "Are you sure you have to go?" Yes, I've got to go." And so, "Okay, thank you so much for all the stuff. But I hope you come back and visit us." I surely will. I'll tell all my people about you, and we'll be coming. And they're, "Okay, great, wonderful." He goes outside and scares all the people out on the street, and then they see the flying saucer that's been spotted over the suburb. And he floats up to that flying saucer. "What is it?" "A monster. Kill it. Get a gun." I said, "No, it's okay. It's fine. It's great. He'll come. He and his people will come back, and they're nice, really great beings." And then we see, as our camera pulls out from their house, you can see out of the basement, because he lived in the basement. You can see out of the basement door in the back, all these human skeletons coming out of the piles and piles of human skeletons coming out of the basement, because whenever somebody came to the door, he took care of them. And that's what he did. He ate them all. And he's going to bring his own people back because it's a walking buffet. Oh, that's good. I like that. That is sheer fun. The whole thing. I love the monster stuff. So thank you for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. Do leave your comments down below. What are some of your favorite monster titles, monster creators, or what are some of your favorite monsters that appeared in these monster comics? Monster. Oh, great fun. Thank you for joining me. And remember, people, comics are art.